Hi, everyone. It's Dr. T, and today I want to help you elevate your life by giving you the most powerful way to deal with uncertainty. Uncertainty is one of the most difficult emotional experiences that more emotionally sensitive people deal with. And at this time, with the corona crisis and all that's going on, it's never been more important for human beings to be able to manage the experience of uncertainty. So, when we think about the most powerful way to do that, one of the things that's important is to understand what's happening when we're actually feeling that issue of uncertainty. So, it was really interesting. As I was driving into the office today, I was listening to NPR, as I often do, and they were interviewing a musician, a well-known musician in our area here, who has all these concerts that he's supposed to be performing, him and his wife actually. And while they were interviewing him, I just listened to what was going on in his emotional state. And he kept saying over and over and over again, I just cannot imagine how people will ever want to come to a concert again, how people will ever feel comfortable joining together again. And with each interview question, he just kept coming back to that. And I really felt for him because as he was saying, I can't imagine what's going to happen. I just can't imagine, it was essentially that my whole life's kind of over here because I can't imagine people ever wanting to come and be close together in a concert hall. And it just really struck me, how uh, what happens with the issue of uncertainty, because uncertainty is a form of reactivity, right? And uncertainty is a type of conditioning that says, I don't know what's going to happen, and it also implies that we're all passengers in the equation, and people who feel that deeply just feel like, the world is happening to them. They're a passenger. They're not in the driver's seat. And over, generations and generations of people in our family, wherever that uncertainty emotional experience is continually manifested and continually indulged in and continually believed in, right? That everything's uncertain. I don't know what's going to happen. And it's really something. As I study this as an emotional scientist, I recognize it's been years and years and years since I've actually experienced what uncertainty means anymore. Because as somebody who has trained myself to be in a consistent, intentional, connected, creative state, the reality is I'm always just creating reality the way that I want it to be, the way that I want to experience it. I'm helping all of our clients do that. And so when you connect to the truth that you're a powerful creator, and that in all the materials that we have in the world, in anything that's going on, whatever it is that we have, and whatever it is that we build, and whatever it is that we create, and whatever the way is that those things are changing, we're still a society of powerful creators who, more than anything, are just creating our new reality with the materials that are going on and the circumstances and the strategies that we need to forge ahead. And so it's really interesting, this concept of uncertainty, like I don't know what's going to happen. So now I'm anxious and I'm reactive and I'm a passenger, and then people are frozen and they're paralyzed, rather than all the clients that have worked with us over the years in our emotional training programs. They are firmly conditioned into the experience that not only is uncertainty not necessarily even a real thing, to be really bold and clear about that, but in reality, we're creating what's coming next. So even though, Mother Nature is doing things and all kinds of things are happening, like viruses and very extreme things all over the world, in this co-creative process that we are doing here as powerful creators on planet Earth with the Earth itself, the reality is that we're creators of what's next. We create, skyscrapers, and we create innovative products, and we create experiences and whatever. Some people, create drama. Some people act drama and do it in artistry. We are ultimately powerful creators. And to live in this concept of uncertainty is really an interesting thing that I want to invite everybody to do very differently. I want to invite everybody to come into the truth of the fact that we are powerful creators, and we have all of this energy, all of this emotional energy, and all of this capacity to create our future. And what we are always doing is either harnessing our energy toward that future, or we're in some sort of a reactive state and just also feeling like a passenger, or like life is happening. And even though there's all of these things that are occurring, uh, the truth is that when we sit in our powerful creative capacity, we live in it, we take ownership of it, and we are in the driver's seat. Then what they're doing with unemployment, and what they're doing, and all of these things that are going on, and there is a huge web of stuff to navigate. However, at the same time, it's us, like it always has been. It's human beings with the materials that are available, either working with those materials, or creating materials, or working with the materials we have and creating them and combining them. And, like right now, I flash to this moment on that movie Castaway, where Tom Hanks is like on this island, and he's got whatever materials he's got. He's got the coconuts, he's got the volleyball, he makes it into a person, he names it Wilson. Um, he takes all of the stuff that he has and he innovates into a life for himself that he can live there. And he shapes that reality to suit what it is that he wants with all of what he has in the equation. And one of my favorite aspects of that movie, which I play it all the time, especially when I have an amazing, successful client that just does something really, next level, and I just like to celebrate that. And so that video where Tom Hanks is like working on the fire, and he's putting the materials and he's working on it, and he's used these materials and he's literally created fire, and he's going around and he's like, I have made fire, and he's like, oh, and this is one of my favorite moments in movie moments and life moments. And it's how it feels to go from being just in the victim, passenger seat, as somebody who is then got to be passive to see what's going to happen, rather than stepping up and elevating into the truth of your powerful capacity, that it is essential that you completely focus on what you're going to create with the materials that are available, with the materials that are going to be evolving, and then decide what you want to create out of what is happening. Even the most dire situation is still coming down to this. What is it I'm going to make out of this? What am I going to do with these materials? And what am I going to create? And we must be able to imagine it. And when that concert, when that artist was saying, I just can't imagine it, it really just struck me. And I'm positive so many of you are feeling that way. I just can't even imagine what's going to happen. And what I'm going to invite all of you into is that this is our job. It is our purpose to imagine it. It is our purpose to elevate it. It's our purpose to expand it into what we want it to be, whatever that might be. Everybody's safe and sound and healthy and well. There's a vision, and there's something we must imagine. All families are reunited with each other, and they appreciate each other more, and they're happier than they've ever been, and they're more constructive and collaborative together. There's a vision. I can imagine it. I can see that happening. Uh, for somebody, it's I'm never doing this job that I hated for 30 years, and now I'm going to be living my purpose and doing these things and just following that and living my truth. And for some people, it's going to be that, right? For some people, they're going to take, just like all humans have in human history, whatever the stuff is that has happened, the absolute worst of it, and gonna craft it. Here's the invitation to craft it into what is meaningful and purposeful and shaping your life into what you want it to be. And this instrument that we have that is always on, by the way, our mind is always on. Just to notice, the system is always on unless we're asleep. And even when we're asleep, our system is doing a lot to integrate our experience, put it into different short-term, long-term, mid-term memory and reference points for us, restoring us for the next day. And the system is essentially always on, and it's doing something for us. And when we're awake, our mind is always going towards something. And when we direct it and give it outcomes and give it the material, okay, here's the materials that we're working with, here's the materials that we're wanting, and we all connect to our creative capacity, this mind that is always on, when we put it in the service of things, whatever they are, creating a wonderful family meal, building, a connection with more family members now through Zoom or whatever these instruments, all these instruments that we have available, whatever these things are, to notice the mind is always on. And anyone trying to convince people that you can turn the mind off, it is very, very fascinating. I don't know why you want to. When you give it a vision, then that also is a very relaxing thing to know you have this vision, to know you're going to return to it over and over. And no matter what happens, something difficult occurs over here, I'm back on track. This is my vision. Something difficult occurs over here, I'm back on track. I see a news report, this is where I'm going. I see a news report, this is what I feel I need to do to support the outcomes that I care about for the world. Every piece of stimulus that comes in, or that we choose to take in, by the way, and there's something about being selective there in what we're going to do and why we're taking stimulus in and what we're going to do with that. So having this uncertainty piece is really something that I know so many people buy into, but really it's an emotional pattern. And I want to boldly share that with you for your consideration, to say, okay, how much uncertainty is there really if I decide to be at my creative capacity, to call upon it, and decide, as so many humans do, to make happen what it is that you and each of us all together want to make happen? Because all of the things that have ever been created, the materials, the innovations, the initiatives, the communities, the companies, they are all created by somebody or a group of people saying, this is what we want. This is what we want to make happen. These are the solutions that we need. These are the initiatives to make that happen. And these things aren't random. It's always created by people saying, this is what I want. And in that desire for it, taking action. Because otherwise, things that you want don't happen the same way that you want them, because they require the burning desire for them, the return to that desire over and over, and stepping your actions toward those outcomes. That's why those of us that are highly emotionally trained know that whatever is happening will be creating what it is that we want through all of it. And there's something very, 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 what is the word? Comforting in all of that. And so I want to invite everybody that if you'd like to eliminate this awful feeling that people are talking about feeling uncertain, and to shift yourself and know how that is, to be completely trained into the emotional capacity of creating your outcomes rather than being a passenger to uncertainty, and rather than just going through experiences that are much more they're not as accurate as what's really happening. And the accuracy is that when you train your emotional self, all of your emotional capacity, in a certain way that allows you to just be in your connected creative self as a way of being, then life, no matter what it reveals, you're able to sit in this security of knowing that you will be somebody that is constantly creating rather than constantly reacting. All right, everyone. So if you'd like some help with that, one of the best ways to start is to go to our website at Dr. Tracy Inc. And for those of you that are really emotionally sensitive, or even getting more emotionally sensitive during this time, which happens under times that are extremely traumatic and tragic and taxing, then you can take the emotional sensitivity assessment and just see where you are emotionally as a starting point, which will give us an indication, and it'll give you an indication of how we might be of use to you. And we might help you, most importantly, accomplish your goals. And basically how we can and will, with your commitment, help you create the life that you are wanting going forward. All right, everyone, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you tomorrow. And in the meantime, create the life that you want rather than live in the uncertainty of it. I look forward to hearing how this is all working for you, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.